Another week, another waiver wire video. Here are the guys that I think you should add off waivers to help you win your fantasy league or your matchup going forward. First player of the waiver wire video has to be Allen Lazard. 3 receptions for 48 yards, doesn't look very impressive, but a touchdown against the Patriots equals 13.8 fantasy points. The chemistry between Lazard and Aaron Rodgers is finally heating up, and honestly looks like the connection we saw in Green Bay. Lazard has scored a touchdown in 2 of 3 games this season, and he can be a number 3 fantasy receiver in deeper leagues. Look, heading into this week, the Jets have a tough matchup with a Broncos defense that does not allow points to outside receivers. We've already seen what Patrick Surtain has done to Mike Evans and DK Metcalf earlier this fantasy season. Even though Garrett Wilson had a solid fantasy performance last week where a touchdown really saved his day, this week may be a down week for him, which could mean more targets for Lazard, who is not on the outside. He's actually been in the slot a lot more this season. Overall, look, you're going to want a piece of this Jets passing game when Aaron Rodgers is behind there throwing the football, so go get Allen Lazard. He's definitely worth an ad. Now, Bucky Irving is probably the top guy out of all of this video you're probably going to want to add heading into week 4. Irving ran for 70 yards on 9 carries and caught 3 passes for 14 yards, while Rachaad White, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lead back, had 6 carries for 17 yards and knotted 5 receptions for 18 yards. Look, it's no secret that Rachaad White's efficiency in between the tackles is absolutely dipped. Irving handled 56% of the Buccaneers' rushing attempts against the Broncos, and while White played all 4 quarters, he was primarily the passing down option with 58% of the routes. Head coach Todd Bowles said on Monday that Irving has earned some more snaps moving forward, so there's a lot of promise for him going forward these next few weeks, especially if you used that last overall pick to stash him for that last roster spot. So what does this all mean? It means go get Bucky Irving because his role is 100% going to be increasing in this offense little by little. And with how efficient he's been, even if he doesn't get as much passing work as Rachaad White does, he still will get a good decent amount of volume of it. So go get Bucky Irving, get him for that last roster spot, especially if you need running back depth. Now, if you had Jauan Jennings on your fantasy team this week, he was an absolute fantasy monster this week. I mean, 46.5 fantasy points is absolutely wild. And now he joins elite company because according to ESPN, Jennings became the first 49er to have 3 touchdown receptions, more than 10 catches and 150 yards since Jerry Rice in 1995. Look, I'm going to be completely honest. Jauan Jennings is going to be on every single waiver wire video, graphic, article, you name it, he's going to be on there for this. And we know that Deebo Samuel's going to miss multiple weeks. Brandon Ayuk is still kind of easing in the offense without having really a training camp. CMC obviously is going to be out for who knows how much time right now with Jordan Mason stepping in, and George Kittle definitely going to have to be monitored because he missed this game as well, his first game that he missed this year. Nonetheless, look, I know Jauan Jennings might be some of the guys that you grab, and I'm saying go grab them, absolutely, especially if Deebo and Kittle miss more time. However, the last time that Jennings had a big game like this, the next week it was not the same. With Jennings, there definitely is caution. One, because the 49ers lost basically all of their primary pass catchers by guarding Ayuk, who really has had a slow start to the season. Will Jennings drop 46.5 points again? I have no idea with the way the fantasy football world is going right now. Either way, worth an ad, especially if Deebo and Kittle miss time, but I know he's probably going to be gone in many of your leagues so far. So I thought it was worth mentioning just in case he's still out there, but I'm definitely not very high on him being like a wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2. Definitely solid, like high flex play if Kittle and Deebo miss time. Other than that, again, not really worth the ad, but maybe worth the ad if Deebo, again, is going to miss multiple weeks. If Kittle misses weeks again, we'll see. Let's go back to another backfield, this time the Chicago Bears, and talk about Roschon Johnson. Johnson is worth either adding or stashing or just keeping a close eye on as he appears to be close to winning a larger role in the Bears offense. He was the Bears' leading rusher into week 3 at Indy and had 8 carries for 30 yards and 4 catches for 32 yards on 5 targets. Look, we all know that DeAndre Swift is struggling. Those of you who have DeAndre Swift on your team know that it's been a rough start to the campaign for the former Eagles and Lions back. Look, Johnson is worth stashing because he could arguably be the RB1 in this offense and be the best back for Chicago going forward. Johnson outgained DeAndre Swift by 20 yards despite having 2 less touches with 10.2 fantasy points. Honestly, not bad at all. Solid flex play for right now, but either way, worth an ad, especially as Swift continues to struggle. Heading over to Atlanta, where we're talking Darnell Mooney here. He had 17.8 fantasy points in week 2 and followed up in week 3 with an 8 reception for 66-yard game in week 3, going for 14.6 fantasy points. Mooney is actually second in targets to Drake London, and to be honest, Mooney and Kirk kind of have a better chemistry connection than London. To me, Mooney holds wide receiver 3 value, especially when you look up that target distribution, and I feel like Kirko is just looking for Mooney, especially during the clutch plays. We saw against the Eagles, he looked for him twice. To start the game against the Chiefs, he looked for him twice. That set up the Drake London touchdown both times. And coming up, he's got the Saints, Buccaneers, and Panthers on the road, where they play 2 home games against the Saints and Buccaneers, then they head to Carolina to take on the Panthers. All looking like favorable matchups, so Darnell Mooney should be an add, especially if you need wide receiver depth, and he is still on your waivers. Rounding out with tight ends, let's start with the Jets' Tyler Conklin. Conklin continues to have a strong underlying usage that will eventually translate to fantasy production, as we saw in week 3. He caught 5 of 6 targets for 93 yards. And really, the kind of question to answer for the Jets is, who is the number 2 pass catcher behind Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson if you want to mix those two together? Like I said with Allen Lazard, you're probably going to want a piece of this Jets passing game. Tyler Conklin has looked to be heating up a little bit, getting decent receptions. If you need help at tight end, Tyler Conklin's the way to go. But a guy who I was surprised to see still on waivers is Cole Kmet. Kmet has seen his snap and target share increase week by week since the start of the season. He caught 10 of his 11 targets for 97 yards and a touchdown in Chicago's loss to the Colts. And I know they brought in Gerald Everett, who they've been kind of splitting time with, but Kmet had a very good game. I know Keenan Allen's coming back, but I think this Kmet game, even though Caleb Williams had 52 passing attempts, look, Kmet was kind of the safety blanket for Justin Fields last year. I hope he can kind of develop into that, even with Keenan Allen still being here for Caleb Williams. Thank you for watching this video. Let me know in the comment section below, guys, that I missed. There were some guys that were on the fringe of being in this video, but were not in there. And leave your trade or waiver wire questions in the comment section down below. Make sure your subscribe notifications on so you never miss an upload. And that being said, see you guys in the next video.